The Section 524 is with respect to situations when there isn't a contract. Okay, so what the legislation says is that the deposit cannot be greater than 2% of the listed price of the vehicle. Okay, it can only be accepted if the buyer in advance is given the written terms and conditions of the deposit, including conditions for its return. Dealers can keep that deposit at times. You know, if you're bringing in a vehicle from out of province, for whatever reason you didn't enter into a formal contract, dealers and the consumer backs out of the deal for whatever reason. Obviously, you can't hold them accountable because you don't have a written contract. However, you do have that 2% of the price of the vehicle, so you can keep a portion of that 2% if you're defraying an actual expense that you had in order to acquire that vehicle. And in the event a refund needs to be made with respect to the deposit, it has to be done in the same form that it was provided. Okay, what we've seen a number of times in our office is that the terms and conditions of the deposit haven't been set out. And so because of that, if the dealer has failed to comply with the legislation, so if the consumer decides not to, honor the notion that you folks are bringing in this vehicle for them, if they decided they don't want it any longer for whatever reason, and you haven't set out the terms and conditions of the deposit, that's a breach of legislation, and then it would need to be fully refunded. So basically what it comes down to, make sure you have the processes in place so that you have the written terms and conditions of the deposit, so it's crystal clear to the consumer that here's the terms and conditions of this deposit. This is when it's going to be refunded. This is when it's not going to be refunded, and then you're covered. Okay, so non-compliance. What can happen if a dealer breaches our legislation? What are some of the ramifications? Other than having the vehicle being, we've heard about this, vehicles can be rejected in some cases. So in situations, each situation is dealer specific, depends on a number of factors such as, the dealer's history in the marketplace, past compliance issues. Have there been some, a number of complaints against that dealer? What is the breach? What's the significance of that breach? So here are a few things that our office can do. So we can issue a warning letter. Hey, here's what we're hearing from the consumer. This seems to be a breach of the legislation. Tell us your position. Okay, yeah, you're right. It is a breach of legislation. This is what happened. Okay, here's your warning. Okay, make sure you do X. Okay. Often, if you're going to continue to breach X, and we've spoken to you, we've educated you, we're working with you, there's a few other things that are available to us. And again, it depends on which tool we use. It's going to be situation specific, and it's going to depend on, the significance of the breach, the number of complaints against you. But we can issue compliance orders. I think a number of you folks likely have seen some of the orders that we've made public. We can enter into a voluntary compliance agreement. Suspension can occur. We can cancel your license if it's really severe. We can even prosecute. Okay, so those are a couple of tools that are available. Tools are available for us in order to ensure that there's compliance. So it's important to read and understand the bulletins and publication our office issues. They're emailed to you. If you haven't been receiving them, it's likely because you haven't completed your filing in the system, or the primary contact for your dealership happens to be somebody else. So ensure that you speak with them and have them filtered down to you, or you can certainly email our office and we'll include you on our distribution list. Because there's important information that does get sent out monthly, and sometimes occasionally, over and above that monthly kind of campaign that goes out, that's going to assist you. Okay, we're wrapping up here. So like I said, resources, we're here to help. Here's our contact information. We want to hear from you. We want to help you. We want to answer your questions. If you've got concerns, we want to hear them as well. I mean, this is kind of, we're all in this together. So again, I mentioned we have those all-in priced advertised templates. There's signage kits. There's The dealer information guides that have been created are on our website. That website below there, fcaa.gov.sk.ca/cpd VD. And that information is on there. So go on there and snoop around if you haven't been there before. There's a ton of information there. There's a ton of valuable resources. If you've got questions about advertising, you're not sure. I've worked with a lot of the dealers. They're creating their advertising campaigns, and they're just not quite sure if the campaign that's being proposed meets the legislation. I'm happy to take a look at it. Send it to me. Feel free to call or email our office. Like I said, we're here to work with you.